Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
I'm your host today, Chris Antomassimo from OGC Solutions, and really delighted to have Dennis Leblanc on the podcast today. Dennis comes to us from Drytac, where he is the Senior Product and Business Development Manager, and he's calling us up from the Toronto area. So welcome to the podcast.
Correct. Thank you very much for the invitation. Always enjoy a time to talk some shop and bring people up to speed as to who we are and what we're doing over here.
Yeah, I was from the minute we met, Dennis, I could tell how proud you were about the products that you make, the sustainability component and focus that the company has. So there are got to be folks out there that aren't as familiar with Drytac as you'd hope. So give us a rundown about what you're doing, and don't forget to talk about the sustainability angle as well.
100%, and appreciate that. Again, my passion for what I do. I'm one of the lucky ones. I've worked for two companies in a little over 30 years, but I've been sticking stuff to stuff for a very, very long time. It's an industry that's near and dear to my heart. I've made a lot of friends along the way, a lot of contacts along the way, and hopefully I can say that I've helped out a lot of people along the way. In that every day is a little different. It certainly does help to keep things interesting. With regards to Drytac, as some may not know, Drytac's been around for a very, very long time. Actually, we're in the process of celebrating our 50th year in business, incorporated.
Congratulations.
Again, thank you for that. A lot of people may not know, but there's a darn good chance that you've run into a Drytac product solution over those 50 years in your travels, whether you knew it or not. Drytac we got our start in the adhesives business in the framing market. Things like plaque mounting. So walking into your doctor's office and seeing his diploma, put on a wall on a piece of MDF, there's a very high chance that that's a Drytac material that's behind that. That's of course kind of sort of where we got our start from. Our business has changed and our focus has changed. We're now heavily focused on our manufacturing capacities and our adhesive coating. Our tagline is Adhesive Sciences. We are an adhesive coating company. We've got two plants that we run, one based out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, just a hop, skip, and a jump from the Pearson Airport. For any of your listeners that are in our area, look us up. We love to show off the plant. And then we also have a coating facility in Bristol in the UK for rest of world supply. They have other adhesive technologies like our dot adhesives, pattern coating, as well as solvent and hot melt, etc. So right now, Drytac is available in well over 80 countries globally. We have product solutions that run the gambit of, again, going back to our legacy framing, and then where we focus today in adhesive coating, which is both visual communications and architectural films, windows, walls, floors, indoors, outdoors, as well as industrial products. So we have materials that go into construction, into medical, we do frangible tapes for evidence labels. It runs the gambit. If it sticks to something, we can't be everything to everybody as we'd love to be, but we can't. But we've got a high breadth of product solutions across multiple industries. We hang on our hat on the fact that we've got well over 350 proven recipes across multiple different businesses. So yeah, Drytac's been around for a long time. Again, we've had some refocuses, etc. We do focus on the, as I said, the adhesive sciences here. But it's been a good business, and as you can tell, I do love what I do.
I love it because you're just plug and play, man. You could talk about sticking stuff to things all day long with Drytac.
100%.
Yeah. But there's a lot that goes into it. We're not just talking about, fungible products. You've got a lot of science behind the adhesive nature of the products so that they perform exactly how they're supposed to.
100%. And you're right. There's a lot of companies out there that put adhesives on the back of things. A lot of them dear friends of ours. As I said, I can't we can't be everything to everyone. So there's a lot of those resources that I'll pull on depending on what the application is. But you're right. Every product is made for a specific pain point. Some of the things that Drytac specializes in is in cold weather materials. So materials, as we can tell right now, anybody that's in the northern hemisphere can tell we're under a polar vortex right now where it's colder. Florida might actually get snow at this time of year. So, please don't blame it on us. We had no control over it. But that's something we specialize in is cold weather adhesives. But also to that point, the adhesive interaction with the surfaces, whether or not it's something where we need a product that can be installed by people that have never installed adhesive back materials. If we need materials that need to apply optically clear to windows, if we need to have adhesives that will apply to painted walls, but also not set up and become permanent over time and be able to remove cleanly without being damaging to a surface. Those are the types of adhesive sciences that we specialize in. We have another product in our portfolio, which is called our Polar Grip, which is our Swiss Army knife. Not only will it work down to -4 Fahrenheit, it'll also stick to low surface energy materials. It'll stick to powder coated metals, recycling bins. It'll also stick to brick and cinder block for textured surfaces, areas where typically people have had to choose cast films. So to your point, yes, the films are the films, and we have a breadth of them, whether they be PVC, polyester, polypropylene, Tedlars, papers. They're all built specifically for a pain point and for an application in the field. It's just, to your point, navigating those based on the customer need. What's the pain point? Who's installing it? Where's it going? How long does it need to be there?
You've taken it a couple of steps down the line in terms of having textured papers and things that you can use for everything from wallpaper and decorative items to even translucent films.
Correct. Yeah. And again, to that point, it's all listening to market need, but also when we have conversations of where the market's going and what we can do, Drytac, from not only number one, our adhesive science, but number two, the conversation of sustainability has to enter into our conversations as we move forward. Because again, we have a planet to hand down to our kids. We have industries that we need to feed, that everybody needs to do, their part to do or be as green as we possibly can be in today's day and age. And it's not always a silver bullet. It's just making sure that we're having conversations in that respect in terms of, where we can take industries, what are the right materials for those applications. To your point, we have a true peel and stick wallpaper that's just been introduced to the market, because one of the pain points we hear in the field is that there's a lot of graphic installers that don't want to work with wallpaper paste, and there's a lot of wallpaper paste guys that don't know how to work with peel and stick. So we were able to hit a pain point not only by providing a paper-based material, which on its own accord has its own green conversation, but also provide an application for visual communication, feature walls, things along those lines that act like a traditional wallpaper, but can be installed by standard graphic installers, which are, they're out there, they're in the field, they're doing this work on a consistent basis.
Yeah, you're really enabling two sets of maybe diametrically opposed consumers, the DIY folks that want to do their own thing, as well as the professionals.
100%. And that's really, again, who's working with this stuff. We see a lot of online fulfillment companies now that are doing a lot of work. Really, at the end of the day, if you want to take a picture of your vacation home or your scenery from your back deck when you're up at the cottage, and remind yourself of it in the flat that you lease when you're at work in the city for the week or however it may be, these are things that they're becoming commonplace. People are doing this type of work to create those things in their own spaces. But that's, again, at the consumer end. We also have standard brick and mortar where an experience needs to be changed, where we need to update these things. And again, having a peel and stick wallpaper added to the mix just adds that look and feel and that conversation. We still do have the PVC application solutions in that utilize specialized adhesives that don't act like wallpaper, that they're the standard peel and stick. But we do see a shift in terms of people want that wallpaper look. But again, they don't want to be dealing with the wallpaper. So this is a solution that we can assist with. Absolutely.
I really want to focus back on what you mentioned a moment ago, and what we talked about at the beginning was the sustainability element of the product line. A lot of companies talk a big game, but I could tell from our first conversation and today that Drytac really has that built into their DNA in terms of how they design products, how they sell products, and focus on recyclability from the outset. Maybe you could spend a little bit of time on that.
Absolutely, and it's again, as a manufacturer, we can only control what we can control, which is, in a product development standpoint, what sustainability factors can we add in? What recycling streams can we fit into? There's a lot of hubbub out in the market space that I see, what we refer to as greenwashing, which is, everybody calls PVC a bad thing. PVC is the bad word, but PVC is not a bad thing. We're just utilizing PVC for the wrong reasons. PVC is engineered to do very complex things for very long periods of time. When we think about it, what most people understand, PVC vinyl siding, vinyl windows, that's what PVC is engineered to do. And when we're talking about applications that are going out into the field for 7 years, 10 years, it's a one-time shot with a material that's engineered to do that. So going back to the sustainability of things, and Drytac's kind of focus is, well, what can we control in this process? And we know, number one, as I said, PVC is not a bad word. Just use it for what it's engineered to do. When we look at where PVC is being used, in our humble opinion, where it's being used incorrectly is more in the retail environment, more in the event environment, where, you're doing these applications for what could be anywhere of a day up to 3 months. And you're using a PVC material that is, again, engineered for those long-term things, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years plus, in these short-term environments. And then, again, from the recycling end, remember, PVC is number one on the recycling scale. The problem in our industry from visual communications is the fact that we can't keep the stream clean. There's monomeric vinyls, there's polymeric vinyls, there's cast vinyls, and there's just no way to keep that stream clean. And also, on the other hand, if we're talking brass taxes, nobody recycles anything unless they can make money at doing it. So there's all of these things. Then we hear from everybody else, it's recyclable where facilities exist. So those are all things that are outside of our control. But what is within our control? So for us at Drytac, we focus mainly on water-based adhesive technology. So the majority of our portfolio is water-based versus solvent-based acrylic. Again, we all know solvents aren't great. People don't like to smell them. People don't like to come into contact with them. There are issues in terms of people working with solvent acrylic materials or solvents overall from a labor standpoint, keeping people safe. So most of our technologies are water-based. And then we move into the filmic end of it. What are we putting the adhesive on? And for Drytac, we talked about our wallpaper, which is a true paper. We have another product that's coming down, will be launched globally in March, which is a true peel and stick wallpaper that has a repulpable adhesive that can be applied to cardboards, can be applied to recyclable substrates like, there's a ton out there, Falcon board, maybe Zenita, things along those lines that are fluted, but they're made from recyclable materials, where we now have a print media that can apply straight to it and can still go straight to a blue bin. But typically paper doesn't have that outdoor durability that you require in event, that you require in retail, where we're doing window graphics, things that are showing, whether it be sale or changing an environment. So Drytac now moves more towards a polypropylene-based print medias. Polypropylene in our research and in what we see in the field is an item that actually is getting recycled. So when you think about, what do we as consumers, just even in our homes, what are we putting in the recycling bin? Well, we're putting paper in there. We can all agree on that. We're putting, for the most part, glass in, although that's not everywhere. There's some places that won't take glass because it's cheaper for them to make new glass than it is to recycle old glass. And the other one is containers. Well, a bunch of those containers are polypropylene. Polypropylene is number 5 on the recycling list. And what we've seen is somebody with the tonnage that's out there, and again, there has to be tonnage to make recycling make sense. The tonnage of polypropylene is already in the stream. People are de-inking polypropylene, and they're actually making engineered decking. fake wood. So now we're in a position where our heads go, okay, water-based adhesives, polypropylene face films. Now we're in a position that we'd like to get providers trained to actually put the recycling logo straight on the images that they're printing to let people know that, hey, fold this stuff onto itself and put it in a recycling bin because it is a number 5 on the recycling stream. And we're starting to see those things become recycled. And when we talk about where facilities exist, there are locations in the US that are currently de-inking and recycling polypropylene. So as a manufacturer, again, what can we control? We can control bringing materials to market that fit into streams as they become available. And we do see in the retail, especially from an outdoor durability, polypropylene being the lowest hanging fruit there.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I always feel like many manufacturers like Drytac do a fantastic job of thinking about recycling and reusability, or and a reduction of carbon footprint from the outset of their plans. But there seems to be this disconnect on the post-use end. You set up a great product, but we don't have the marketplace to do the recycling. Have you found that to be a little bit of a limiter for you?
100%. Again, being and not to date myself, but at the end of the day, I've been doing this for a very long time, and the conversation of sustainability has been around for a long time. This is our industry, at least from the print and visual communications field. This is about our 5th go at this. And to your point, a lot of people love to be green until they see the price point. Right. It has always been, and we know, technologies get better, things get better, people do things better, but that has always been the hindrance to the sustainability as well. I'd love nothing more than be green. However, I will not be, nor will my clients be able to weather the cost increase required. And that usually is what kills these initiatives right out of the gate. So again, from our end, what we do our best to do is to avoid a green tax on as much or anything that we can. To that point, we have a product portfolio. We have a product that we just launched. Our spot on product solution, which utilizes pattern coated adhesives, has historically been retail or event driven. That's where the demand has come from, and has been a monomeric PVC, which, as we talked about, for this type of application, maybe not the best base film that we've been or should be using for that longevity of application, but that's what historically we've all used. It's got the right price point, does what it's supposed to do, and that's really what the clients are looking for. We've just recently launched our family of polypropylene face film version. So our spot on Syntac, both in a white matte and a clear gloss. These are polypropylene based films, but the big key to your question is there is no green tax. They are in line with their PVC cousin. So for the end user, the consumer, the print provider, there's no reason not to make the switch. There's not a cost. It's not cost prohibitive. That is not what's in the way. So again, what we can control, and we can control that there's no pain point. All the conversations externally that I've had, once the prospective client hears that there's no green tax, conversation changes to, okay, sign me up, let's go. There's no hindrance to it.
Yeah, because really it satisfies both objectives. Because I really do believe buyers want to be responsible environmentally, but that green tax that you talk about is really a limiter for many of them.
It's 100%, and it's killed a lot of the initiatives. A lot of these technologies are not new. They've been around for decades. Really, at the end of the day, we've been printing to polyesters and polypropylenes for a long time. In the label market, polypropylene is one of the mainstays. So we've been doing this work for a long, long time. It's just, again, it's that messaging. It's that, the fact that it's not your sustainable initiatives should not be what you would consider to be a specific profit margin situation. It's doing the right thing for the market space, doing the right thing and changing the thinking overall that really becomes or should become more prevalent. The profit portion of it will come straight through volumes, straight through early adopters, straight through the messaging overall. And again, it's one component of a much larger cog there are a ton of different things that people can do, even in the short term, in terms of their sustainability. One of the things that Drytac does really well is we partner through our distribution partners into shops to say, okay, is there anything we can do here? Can we limit packaging? Can we increase roll size? Are you getting any waste on the back end through trimming that we can help affect? There's a lot of components that go into sustainability. It's just, to your point, if it's going to cost me a ton, I'm probably not going to look at it until I have to. And that's the other component that comes into this is, we are typically 3 to 5 years behind Europe in terms of these initiatives. There are starting to be mandates that are coming down the pipeline, and we're going to get into a position that we're not going to have a choice in these things. They are either going to be mandated through government program, or they're going to be mandated by the customers that we're working with, because these programs are coming down. There's a lot of companies out there that are starting to do sustainability audits. We've heard of sustainability SARs in our field. It's starting to become more of a necessity versus just a nice option to have.
Yeah, and what I think is happening, at least the dynamic that I sense, is that the mandates are coming faster than the manufacturing industries can respond effectively. They're being presented with mandates that just really aren't achievable with current product mixes. But I would say, from what I've seen from Drytac, you're a little bit ahead of the curve, especially because of your European presence as well, or in the marketplace. Have you seen that the European mandates change your product mix in such a way that the North American market gets impacted too?
Absolutely. A lot of the products that we've spoken about just recently are all based on materials coming out of our European plant, out of our plant in the UK. They are really on the forefront of some of these product mixes and etc. And again, to your point, they are all coming down from those mandates. They're coming down from those brand requests. So we're lucky enough to have that insight. And by and large, we're in a position, again, going back to sustainability, where if it can be manufactured there, depending on the technology, we do our best to mimic that here in a farm to table approach. The other thing that people have to remember in sustainability is source. We talked about, at the end of the day, you can get the greenest product you want, but if you're working on a sustainability, a checklist or a grading perspective, as soon as that's got to go into a container and get onto a diesel ship, you get a black mark right away because of the fossil fuels you burnt in terms of getting it to port. So we're right now working on some opportunities where some of our synthetic face films have different applications where coating them in North America from a local source is a much more sustainable way for us to do it. So those all have to come into mind. But to your original question, yes, we're in a position that a lot of these product engineerings are coming out of Europe.
And at Drytac, what do you see coming down the pike in the coming year in terms of new product releases, new developments in your existing products, etc.? But what can consumers expect?
Yeah, no. So to that point, as I mentioned, we've actually had a slew of product launches over 2025. Right now, we're working on our next global product launched, which will be referred to as PaperTac. As I mentioned earlier in the conversation, it's a true peel and stick paper. It's something that would be able to run through an inkjet printer that sits beside your computer. It works very well with people that don't have hybrid or flatbed printers, but want to be in a position that they're utilizing sustainable substrates. So to give you an example, you walk into a store and they have the end cap, and they're selling chocolate bars on the end cap. In order to be able to do that on cardboard, you would need to have a flatbed printer to print to that cardboard. We've now created a solution that can be added to that cardboard, printed digitally, whether or not you have an aqueous printer, so water-based inks, and or latex or UV, and be able to apply it to that substrate and have it go straight back into the stream. So that's the next one that we're really, really excited about. That'll be globally available in March. If you do follow Drytac, you'll start to see the hubbub start to move forward as starting at the beginning of February for a late March launch. From there, like I said, at Printing United last year, the majority of what we had was sustainable materials. Our Paper Fleece Air, which is the peel and stick wallpaper, our Spot on Syntac, retail and event driven, easy install polypropylene medias. And then moving forward, some of the cool technology we're working on is with regards to polyurethane. Polyurethane is one of the new kind of technologies, although it's been out there for a long time. But again, the technologies get better. Ink compatibilities get better. Ink technology gets better from a compatibility standpoint. So we are excited to start looking at the polyurethane filmic world. Historically, a lot of your listeners, if they're in the print world, which they are, will be familiar with paint protection films. Things along those lines. Very durable, very long-term outdoor applicable, self-healing. They come with a lot of attributes, but the one thing they don't come with is that nasty chloride that's in PVC. Going back to the sustainability of things, if I've got a material that has less bad in it, but better long-term durability, better long-term outdoor lifespans, it's just good for everybody. So that's kind of what's coming down the pipe. We've got some other bits and pieces in between. We've got a synthetic paper that we've soft launched, but we'll be globally launching as well. That works with some peel and stick tapes that we carry for window graphics. So there's a ton. We could sit here for a couple of hours with regards to what we're working on. But as I said, I'm very excited with regards to the PaperTac launch. I think it does hit a need. If you think to walking up to a door at your doctor's and they're going for lunch and it's stuck to the window with Scotch tape. Those things drive me nuts as somebody that's in visual communications versus something that you could actually literally peel and stick to the glass. So I do see some real good opportunities there. But again, there's a lot of really great substrates out there that have that blue bin technology in them. And being able to add print to those things without having to, the expense of a hybrid or a flatbed printer, I see some real good opportunities for.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks for such a great, in a nutshell, by the way, but a great introduction to Drytac and all the great stuff you're doing. Where can folks find you?
Well, the easiest way to find us is drytac.com. Drytac.com will have our portfolio of architectural films, some of the things we do industrially, as well as, one of the biggest things for us is we love to share the work that people are doing with Drytac. So specifically on our website, outside of just perusing a portfolio of product availability, because the portfolio is large, is our case study and our blogs. We do put out a lot of industry blogs in terms of best practices. Not every ink is built different, or not every ink is used for the same applications. Why release liners are different, why they're important, cold weather application, as well as, to that point where people are using Drytac in the field. When our clients are willing to share their work with us, we put that out there on social medias. We've been lucky enough, we've had 5 or 6 front cover of magazines, and they're all located under our case studies. So if you want to see what clients have been doing with Drytac in the architectural film world, our case study section on drytac.com is the best place, as well as all of our contact details. We're an email away, we love to talk to our clients. We love to help them diagnose. That's typically a lot of what my day entails in terms of, okay, what went wrong? Okay, let's see how we fix it.
Yep. Well, fantastic, and thanks again for such a great intro. Just to refresh, this has been Dennis Leblanc, who happens to be Drytac's Senior Product and Business Development Manager. Again, thanks for a great discussion, great intro. You're a great spokesperson for Drytac. And this has been Chris Santamassimo, host of the Think Factory podcast. We'll see you next time.